Hello students, hope you all are doing well. Preparations for the upcoming board exams must be in the full swing. After looking at the dire need for the rapid revision, I am here with the revision series for the first term board exams of 2021. I will be selectively revising some important topics along with you all in this series. If you too are looking to revise some specific topics, kindly drop your message in the comment box. I shall try my best to cover all the topics before the exams start. Talking about the combination reactions, if you try to identify that what among the given reactions is a combination reaction, the easiest way to understand it is that in a combination reaction, either more than 2 or equal to 2 number of reactants are going to be present over there. Okay, so you will have either 2 or more than 2 number of reactants coming together and combining to give you one product. Okay, so I think you must all be knowing about that what is a reactant and a product for sure. If not, please just listen to a quick recap of it, that whenever you write a chemical reaction, there are some kind of substances which are initially present in the chemical reaction and they react together to give rise to a product. Okay, so in a chemical reaction, how to identify it very easily that what is a reactant and a product? The substances which are written on the left hand side of the arrow will be referred to as the reactant, and the substances which are written on the right hand side of the arrow will be referred to as the product. Okay, now after giving you a quick summary of what is a reactant and a product, let's jump back again to the combination reaction. See, the name itself in the combination reaction is self-explanatory. If you look very closely at the name, it says that combination. What does combination means? Very simple. The combination means adding up of something. And what is adding up over here? The number of reactants which are present in the equation are adding up to give you one product. These reactant over here, I am taking only 2 reactants, but there can be more than 2 reactants as well. Now you can have different varieties of reactants coming together. You can either have 2 elements as reactant coming together to give you one product. Okay, you can have one element and one compound coming together to give you one product. Okay, you can also have the 2 types of compounds coming together to give you one product. So you can have different kind of varieties of the types of reactants which are coming together to give you one product. Now let me explain this again with some examples so that it becomes crystal clear in your memories. Coming to this type of a reaction where element is combining with the element. So in your NCERT itself, one case is given where carbon is combining with the oxygen to give rise to carbon dioxide. So over here, more than 2 elements, I should not say more than 2, the 2 elements are combining together to give you one product. So this is also a combination reaction. An example where element is combining with the compound is a case where carbon dioxide is getting combined with your carbon to give rise to your carbon monoxide. Now carbon is an element, carbon dioxide is a compound, both of them are coming together to give you carbon monoxide. So this type of reactions will also be referred to as the combination reactions. Now in a compound, where a compound reacts with a compound, the cases can be seen as when ammonia reacts with HCl, it gives rise to NH4Cl. So in this, one compound is reacting and combining with the other compound to give you one product. So this is also a kind of a combination reaction. Now before I wind up this topic, I feel that I should take you to the equations given in the NCERT as well. So some of the cases which are given in the NCERTs of the combination reactions which are very important for the board syllabus are the equation or the kind of a chemical reaction where calcium oxide, which is also referred to as quicklime. The chemical name of it is, you all know that it is known as calcium oxide. When it combines with water, it gives rise to calcium hydroxide. It is called as calcium hydroxide. The other name, the common name of calcium hydroxide is your slaked lime. So over here also you can see that two compounds are reacting to form one product. So this is also a case of combination reactions. Now you also must have seen or come across a kind of a reaction where hydrogen gas reacts with your oxygen gas to gives rise to H2O, that is water, in the liquid form. So this is also a kind of a reaction where combination reaction where two elements are coming together to give rise to one compound. So all these reactions should be learned very carefully before appearing for your board exams. So if I summarize the combination reaction once again for all of you, what will I say? I hope that you must be comfortable with the combination reactions by now. Those reactions where either two or more than two reactants are coming together to give rise to one product. Those kind of reactions will be referred to as your combination reactions. Now in this topic we'll be studying about the next type of a reaction, that is decomposition reaction. For taking you through the decomposition reactions, that how will you identify it, I will like you to pay attention to the word decomposition. The decomposition, what does it mean? It means that you have one kind of a reactant and this reactant is going to break apart into more than two or more than two kind of a products. So over here you have one reactant and you have more than two products being formed, and this decomposition happens because of some kind of a input of a energy. Okay, so as you saw in the last topic about in the combination reactions, what did you see? In combination reactions you saw that there are more than two kind of a reactants which come together and form one product. But over here in decomposition reaction, it is completely reverse of it. Over here you have one reactant and more than or equal to two kind of a products being formed in a given reaction. Over here, please note it down that in a kind of a decomposition reaction, the energy is actually required. It can be like taken by the process in the form of either in the form of heat, or the energy input can be in the form of electricity, or the energy input can be in a form of light. If the energy input is in the form of your heat energy, then those kind of reactions are referred to as your thermal decomposition reaction. They are referred to as your thermal decomposition reactions. If the energy being required in the kind of a reaction is in the form of electricity, then it is referred to as simple as electrolysis, or it can also be referred as electrolytic decomposition reactions. Electrolytic decomposition reactions. If the energy input is in the form of light, then either it is referred to as the photolysis or simply as again a photolytic decomposition reactions. So just a kind of a hint which will make you understand that or make you identify easily that what is a decomposition reaction. How will you identify it? You will see that how many reactants do you have? How many reactants do you have? If you have the number of reactants, if it is equal to 1 and that reactant is breaking apart with the investments of some kind of a energy into two or more than two kind of a products, then that equation or that kind of a type of a reaction will be referred to as a decomposition reaction. Please keep it in mind that whenever there are some kind of options given to you in the among the multiple choice questions, that because of the investment of energy in the form of heat, if they are saying that is it a decomposition reaction or a thermal decomposition reaction, please try to choose the most appropriate one. If it is heat, then choose a thermal decomposition reaction. If it is in a form of electricity, do not choose simple decomposition. Choose either electrolysis or the electrolytic decomposition. And similarly, for light, invest for the reactions in which the light is the form of energy which is getting used, please use the keywords of photolysis or photolytic decomposition. So now we will see the different kind of a thermal decomposition reaction. If I revise different kind of what is thermal decomposition reactions along with you, so you must have understood by this time that once one reactant is heated or with the energy input in the form of a heat, this reactant is breaking down into two or more than two kind of a products. Then that kind of a reaction is referred to as to be the thermal decomposition reaction. One example of it is when in a test tube you take lead nitrate, which is PbNO3 whole twice and is a white color powder. When this lead nitrate is heated in a test tube, you are left with many kinds of products. The products are in the form of lead oxide, and this lead oxide is a yellow kind of a residue which you can see in your test tube towards the end of the reaction. Not only this, you will see nitrogen dioxide with getting evolved, which is a brown, which you can identify by seeing the brown fumes coming out of this test tube. Also, along with this, you will also get one more gas, that is oxygen gas, which is both colorless and odorless. Now, with the decomposition of just one reactant, you have observed that you have received more than two, that is three products at the end of the reaction. So this is a kind of a thermal decomposition reaction. Coming to the next thermal decomposition reaction, the next thermal decomposition we'll be talking about is the thermal decomposition of ferrous sulfate. Now, in the NCERT book, they have started the reaction with FeSO4, that is ferrous sulfate crystals. But please do understand, once they can also ask the question that sometimes your hydrated salt of FeSO4 is taken. So hydrated salt, if they start the reaction from hydrated salt, that means they want you to start from the point where the salt is present along with the water of crystallization, that is FeSO4.7H2O. So if I start the reaction from FeSO4.7H2O, please keep it in mind that the hydrated salt of your ferrous sulfate is green in color. And when this is heated in a test tube, this water of crystallization separates from the ferrous sulfate crystals and leaves it as a white color solid. Okay, so please do understand, if they are starting the reaction with the white color crystals, that means they are talking about the anhydrous form of your ferrous sulfate crystals. If they are starting your reaction from the green color crystals of ferrous sulfate, that means they want you to include this step of decomposition of FeSO4.7H2O also in your reactions. Now, once you have this white color solid and you take it in a test tube and heat it again, then what do you observe? We observe that this white color solid, when heated, gives rise to your Fe2O3, your SO2 and SO3 gas are being liberated. How will you identify that what is Fe2O3? Please understand, the white color solid when heated gives rise to a brown color residue now. Okay, so whenever they talk about the brown color residue, they are hinting you towards the thermal decomposition of your FeSO4. The other very important point which you should always keep it in mind is the presence of SO2 gas over here. The SO2 gas is a very peculiar sulfur smelling gas. So it smells like the burning of sulfur. It smells like, I will just put an asterisk over here and I will continue over here. Okay, so this SO2 gas is a gas which smells like the burning of sulfur, burning of sulfur. This burning of sulfur can be asked in the question in form of either they may ask you that a rotten egg smelling gas is being observed in the formation of rotten egg smelling gas is present. They can also ask you that okay, when a kind of a gas which smells as if the burning of hair burning. Okay, so all these hints will be directing you towards the evolution of the sulfur dioxide gas. So if I summarize it, the white color ferrous sulfate crystals when heated is going to give you the brown color residue in the form of Fe2O3, the sulfur smelling burning of sulfur smelling gas, which is SO2, and SO3 gas will also be evolved along it. So one reactant with the input of heat breaking down into two or more than two products is again an example of thermal decomposition reaction. Now the next example is can be seen in the form of the thermal decomposition of your calcium carbonate. Okay, so what is calcium carbonate? Calcium carbonate is CaCO3. Please keep it in mind always that calcium carbonate is CaCO3, and you can be asked this question in the form of like limestone getting heated up, okay, because limestone also has a similar formula as calcium carbonate. They can also ask you that marble is being heated up, so in that case also marble also represents and points out towards the calcium carbonate. So whenever the calcium carbonate is heated, then what does it give? It gives you a solid which is calcium oxide, which is also referred to as the calcium oxide, and the general name of it is your quicklime. Along with this, the carbon dioxide gas will also be evolved. So calcium carbonate once heated in a test tube is going to give you calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. So these are some very important reactions which should be learned by heart while preparing for your upcoming board exams. Talking about the electrolytic decomposition reaction, if I ask that what is electrolytic decomposition, you will answer that any kind of a reactant when it breaks down into different kind of a products, number of products with the input of the energy in form of electricity, then it is referred to as to be the electrolytic decomposition reaction. In this electrolytic decomposition reaction, there is a peculiar experiment which is given in your NCRT, which states that which shows you the decomposition of water with the input of electricity into two different gases, that is hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. Now what are some kind of very important questions which comes out of this activity? There's a mug which you will take in this activity, a plastic mug. We will drill two holes at the bottom and we will cover these holes with a rubber cork which is already attached to a graphite rod at the bottom. Now we have a mug. At the bottom we have two graphite rods and the holes have been already sealed with the help of a rubber cork. Now we will fill this mug with half the amount of water, and this water will be added along with some kind of a sulfuric acid or some kind of a acid. Why the need of addition of a acid is there? So with the addition of acid, the number of ions which are present uh, in your apparatus will rise tremendously, leading to a better conduction of electricity through the circuit. Now coming to the setup again, let's understand what all we have done till now. We have taken a mug, filled half with water. We have taken two graphite rods and we have sealed it with a rubber cork. We have attached these graphite rods with a 6-volt battery and also added some kind of a sulfuric acid to it. We will take two test tubes completely filled with water till the brim and will insert it over the graphite rods. We will switch this circuit on, and then after a certain point of time we will see that in both the test tubes the water starts getting displaced towards the bottom. Now the displacement which we will observe at the cathode, which is the negative terminal of your battery, will be twice the amount of displacement which we will observe at anode, which is the positive terminal of the battery. So if I see the X amount of displacement of water happening at anode, the amount of displacement happening at cathode will be twice the amount of anode. Now, why this happens? Now, please do understand it very clearly that at cathode, which is the negative terminal of your battery, the accumulation of the hydrogen gas is happening. Okay, and anode, which is the positive terminal of your battery, the accumulation of oxygen gas is happening. Now if you look into the formula of water, 1 mole of water itself contains twice the amount of hydrogen as compared to oxygen. How many atoms do we have of hydrogen over here? We have 2 atoms of hydrogen for every 1 atom of oxygen. That is the reason that the amount of gas being collected at cathode, which is hydrogen, is also double the amount of gas which is being collected at the anode, which is oxygen. So please keep it in mind that why the accumulation of gases at cathode is twice as compared to the accumulation of gases at anode. The photolytic decomposition reactions are those reactions in which your substance, your reactant, is breaking down into different kind of products with the input of energy in the form of light. This light can be the natural sunlight or the any kind of a exposure towards the artificial light as well. You must have seen, if you would have visited your laboratories, that your important chemicals like silver chloride and your silver bromide is never stored in some kind of a transparent bottles. They are always stored in kind of a bottles which are either covered with your carbon paper or are itself dark color tinted bottles. What is the reason behind these kind of preservation techniques? You will understand it only after you understand that what happens in the photolytic decomposition reactions. AgCl, which is silver chloride, is white in color, and this AgCl, which is white in color, when exposed to a sunlight, then it decomposes and forms 2 products, which is Ag and your chlorine gas, your silver and your chlorine gas. Now this Ag, which one when present in the form of AgCl was white in color. Now AgCl has different set of properties, and after decomposition it has produced a new substance which again has a different properties, and it's green color. So it is no more left usable for the places where it is actually required. So you cannot store AgCl in the transparent bottles. The similar reaction you can see where AgBr, that is your silver bromide, when exposed to sunlight will again break apart into silver and your bromine gas. Now AgBr again is your yellow color of a solid, and it breaks down into a gray color silver and bromine gas. So again it is left unusable after the exposure towards the sun. I hope you all are comfortable with the types of combination reaction and the decomposition reactions by now. Join me for some practice sessions in the next video. Also, I'll be teaching you in detail about the displacement reaction and the double displacement reaction in my next video. If you understood the topic, kindly hit the like button. This boost will keep me going. Also, do not forget to subscribe so that you get the latest update. Thank you. Keep smiling.